There is a version of you, buried under layers of hesitation, fatigue, and internal noise, that would walk through mountains without stopping, work through the night without crumbling, and endure pressure that would break the man you are today. This version of you is not a fantasy. It's not superhuman. It's simply unfractured. The ice monk said, "Most men collapse not from exhaustion, but from leakage. Leakage of intention, leakage of attention, leakage of meaning. You are not tired because life is heavy. You are tired because your mind is scattered. And today you will learn the ancient system that unifies it. This is the philosophy that makes you impossible to exhaust. Let me introduce you to a man you already know. You see him in the mirror. You hear his excuses echo inside your mind. He wakes up already losing. Before he even gets out of bed, he negotiates with himself. 5 more minutes. I'll start later. I don't feel like it today." These tiny phrases seem harmless, but each one is a thread pulled from his spirit, making him weaker before the day even begins. He's not lazy. He's not undisciplined. He's simply disaligned. He pours energy into 1,000 small anxieties, dozens of unfinished tasks, endless mental clutter, and every direction except the one that matters. You've lived this. You know this. It's why even doing simple things feels heavy. Your body isn't tired. Your spirit is spread thin. Ancient Greeks saw this as spiritual erosion. They believed that a man should gather his soul into one point, the same way a spear gathers force at a single tip. Taoists called it the scattering of qi, the slow bleeding of your life force through constant internal conflict. Modern psychology now proves what they already knew. Fragmentation of attention increases perceived fatigue by almost 70%, even when physical effort stays the same. This man, the one struggling through his day, dreading tasks, dragging his feet through life, is not weak. He is misaligned. The ice monk once described him in a single sentence. "A man divided in purpose moves like a broken river, shallow, loud, and easily exhausted." The first step of becoming impossible to exhaust is recognizing that your weakness does not come from your limits, but from your leaks. To understand the philosophy that makes you inexhaustible, we travel back to the mountains of northern Greece. The warriors here were different. They trained in silence, not out of peace or meditation, but because silence preserved intention. Every word spoken in fear weakened the spirit. Every complaint multiplied fatigue. Every unnecessary thought divided the mind. They believed that a warrior's first weapon is the unity of his will. Without unity, the spear is weak. Without unity, the shield is heavy. Without unity, the man is broken. Hundreds of miles away, Taoist monks were teaching the same system under a different name: conservation of intention. They taught that your life force is not drained by effort, but by contradiction, wanting and resisting, starting and stopping, pushing and doubting, moving forward while looking backward. These contradictions tear your kai apart like cloth ripped in opposing directions. The ice monk fused these two traditions into one brutal law. You are strongest not when you have the most energy, but when you have the least division. This is the ancient system modern men have forgotten. We chase motivation. We chase hacks. We chase energy boosters. But warriors and monks chased unity, and unity made them unstoppable. Every day you fight a war inside you, but not the war you think. It's not a war against laziness, not a war against weakness, not a war against fatigue. It's a war against your ancient biology. Humans evolved in scarcity. Your brain still believes you are a fragile animal, living on limited resources. So every time you attempt something difficult, a workout, deep work, disciplined learning, even emotional endurance, your mind activates its protection instincts. It whispers, "Stop before you get hurt. Don't waste energy. Preserve yourself." You're reaching your limit. This voice is not your enemy. It's simply outdated, but if you obey it, your life becomes small. Taoists symbolize this inner resistance as an untrained dragon, powerful, ancient, but fearful of discipline. Greek philosophers saw it as the soft animal of the self, always seeking the easiest path. The ice monk calls it the warm shadow, the comfortable part of you that drags you backward every time you attempt to rise. The internal war is not dramatic, it's subtle, invisible, daily. A battle fought in the first 5 seconds before you make a choice. A battle between your future and your comfort, your discipline and your impulses, your intention and your fragmentation. Most men lose because they wait until they feel like fighting. But the ice monk teaches, discipline begins where feeling ends. Fatigue is the voice of the warm shadow, but the man who learns to walk past that voice enters a different level of existence, a level most people never touch. And now we enter the heart of the philosophy. The reason modern people burn out is not because they work too hard, but because they divide themselves into too many identities. You want to be disciplined, but also comfortable, focused, but also constantly entertained, ambitious, but also not stressed. You want results without wanting the transformations required to achieve them. You walk 10 paths at once, and each path pulls a different part of you. This is why effort feels heavy. This is why tasks drain you. This is why you burn out so easily. So the ice monk teaches the ancient law, choose one path, and your spirit becomes a blade. This is the one path. In Taoist practice, it is yi, single-pointed intention. A mind so unified that effort feels like flow. In Greek discipline, it was called telos, the singular aim around which life is organized. The modern world despises this principle. It demands that you be everything at once. Multitask, multi-focus, multi-identity, multi-purpose. And then it wonders why modern men are exhausted, directionless, and spiritually hollow. But a man of the one path moves differently through the world. His thoughts align, his actions align, his habits align, his responsibilities align, because everything serves the same intention. When you choose one path, every movement becomes efficient, every choice becomes meaningful, every hour becomes powerful. A man living the one path is impossible to exhaust because he wastes nothing, not attention, not emotion, not breath. He is a storm moving in a straight line. Consistency is not speed. Consistency is not obsession. Consistency is unbroken flow. The ice monk believed that a man collapses not because of effort, but because of interruptions. Gaps. Gaps in focus. Gaps in intention. Gaps in identity. Think of water breaking over rocks. When its flow is smooth, it is unstoppable. But when its flow is interrupted, it loses force instantly. Greek steel was tempered in the same way. Heat, cool, heat, cool. But the transitions were controlled, without chaos, without randomness. Modern neuroscience confirms that the brain requires 10-15 minutes to re-enter deep focus after every interruption. Imagine how much energy you're wasting when your mind is always jumping. Imagine how much of your power is quietly leaking through small breaks in discipline. So the ice monk says, the man who stops becomes heavy. The man who continues becomes light. Practice without gaps does not mean perfection. It means continuity. It means showing up the next day before your excuses wake up. It means moving forward while others pause to negotiate with themselves. It means becoming a river, never rushing, never stopping. This continuity makes you impossible to exhaust because your mind never leaves the flow. It lives there. Most people collapse not because of the difficulty of their path, but because of the surprise of it. They are caught off guard by challenges that were inevitable. A late night ruins the next morning. An argument derails the whole day. A moment of temptation breaks a streak. A stressful week destroys a habit. Ancient warriors never lived like this. They expected difficulty. They assumed obstacles. They prepared for struggle. This is pre-solution. Before battle, Greek hoplites walked the entire length of their phalanx, inspecting every shield. Not because a battle was guaranteed, but because one weak point could collapse the line. Taoist monks practiced emotional rehearsal, seeing the temptation before it arrived so they would recognize it instantly. The ice monk had his own ritual. Every morning in the cold, he would list each obstacle the day could bring: fatigue, distraction, doubt, temptation, fear, impatience, confusion, chaos. Then he visualized himself remaining unmoved in front of each one. He killed them in the mind before they could appear in reality. By the time the day began, he had already won. This is what modern men lack. They hope the day will be easy. They pray for motivation. They wait for the right mood. But the ice monk teaches, obstacles do not break the disciplined man. The surprise of them does. When you remove the element of surprise, life becomes lighter. Energy is preserved. Fatigue loses its bite. You become impossible to exhaust because nothing catches you off guard. If you apply the philosophy of the ice monk, the unity of intention, the one path, the practice without gaps, the discipline of pre-solutions, something extraordinary begins to happen. Your mind changes first. You stop feeling overwhelmed because your attention no longer fractures. You stop procrastinating because your intention no longer negotiates. You stop burning out because your energy no longer leaks. Next, your spirit changes. You no longer fear effort. You no longer dread challenges. You no longer interpret fatigue as a sign of failure. Instead, you feel yourself sharpening, aligning, strengthening. Fatigue becomes fuel. Pressure becomes clarity. Obstacles become rehearsed victories. You stop living like a candle burning from both ends and start living like a fire, contained, deliberate, enduring. And then, your identity changes. You no longer see yourself as a man who tries. You become a man who executes, a man who endures, a man who focuses, a man who moves without gaps, a man who is impossible to exhaust, because exhaustion belongs to the scattered mind, the divided spirit, the unfocused life. You are not that man anymore. You are aligned, unified, directed, tempered. The ice monk leaves you with one final truth. When intention becomes singular, strength becomes infinite. And this is the path you now walk. If this philosophy resonates with you, subscribe for more lessons from the ice monk and the path of Northern Greek Stoicism, blended with Taoist internal discipline. This is endure and flow, and your transformation has only begun.